Jesus said, in the world you will have trouble. One of my favorite texts, because it is so utterly realistic. But I like the rest of the text even better. In the world you will have trouble. In me you will have peace. Yes. Yes. Peace with God. Just think in your own heart. Do you believe that the Lord, your God, created you? Do you believe he knows what's best for you? Do you believe he's told you the way you ought to go? Are you prepared to admit, like the rest of us, you who are like a sheep have gone astray and turned to his own way? Do you believe that you've had an attitude that is resistant to God? And do you realize that you have been looking for peace, satisfaction, fulfillment, inner contentment, a sense of belonging, purposefulness that have eluded you? Can you take all those steps and then can you say, God, I need to repent of my sin. I need to lay hold of what you offer me as a gift of grace, which is free and full forgiveness, restoration of relationship with yourself, on the merits of Jesus, your Son, what he did in his death and resurrection. And I ask you to give to me that newness of life that will give me peace with God, leading to, and here's the second point, the peace of God. The Apostle Paul, writing to the Philippian Christians, put it this way. He said, now, I don't want you to be full of anxiety for anything. That's in the Bible. I don't want you to be full of anxiety about anything. Now, in all fairness, to understand what Paul said there, before we just dismiss it, who's he kidding? In that same epistle, he uses the same Greek word in a slightly different way. He's talking about his young protege, Timothy, and he says of Timothy, I have no one like him, for he cares for your well-being. Now, it's interesting. What he says in commendation of Timothy, he cares for your well-being, he uses the same word where he says, don't be anxious for anything. That suggests to me that the anxiety can come in two kinds. There can be a responsible concern for the well-being of other people. There can be a responsible acceptance of the fact that I should not be apathetic about the needs of people. I should be deeply concerned about these people. But there are things in my life that are beyond my control, and whilst it would be wrong of me not to care about those who need my care, it would be equally wrong of me to be anxious about the things that come under God's control. The problem for many of us, even some who have made peace with God, is that we don't really enjoy the peace of God, that is able to say practically as the days go by, it is well with my soul. Now the Apostle Paul tells us very quickly how we can do this. Don't be full of anxiety for anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, let your requests be known unto God. In other words, take the anxieties and bring them to a God who knows what is best for you, who tells you the way that you ought to go, who promises that if you would order your life according to the orders of an orderly God, your inner life would be in order, which is the fundamental meaning of peace. You begin to experience something that you can't explain. In fact, the Bible puts it this way. It's peace that passes understanding. So there's peace with God, and there's the peace of God. You say, what do I do with it? Well, I'm glad you raised that. Because what the Apostle Paul also said writing to the Romans was this: some of the sanest advice, most realistic advice imaginable. If it is possible, as much as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do you know what this world needs? This world needs people who've made their peace with God, who live in their circumstances enjoying the peace of God, and who radiate that inner sense of contentment and well-being, that wellness of soul, in such a way that there's a pervasive sense of peace wherever they go. And they are actively involved in one single basic thing. If it is possible, as much as it depends on them, they're going to make absolutely certain they are peacemakers. That's what we need. Peace with God, leading to the peace of God, leading to peace on earth.